You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. The Finance Department says suspending excise taxes on oil will cost the economy 117 billion pesos. That's 117. While a labor group is now asking the government to raise the minimum pay to 1,000 pesos. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have TUCP President Raymond Mendoza. Raymond, welcome to The Source. Thank you so much for your time.
Privilege to be here. Good morning.
All right. So what you're asking for right now is a 470 peso increase in minimum wage, which is at 537 pesos right now. Just for context, how did you arrive at this number, 470?
Well, the 537 pesos has been there since 3.4 years ago, 3 years and 4 months. It stuck, Pinky, November 2018 pa yan. But how did we get there? Simply lang. You have it is a data from the Food Nutrition Research from the OST. 338, non-food requirement, 47 pesos. All of this has been submitted in our petition. Increase in CPI, 27, the central bank. So we came out with 470. It is also important to note that even the Secretary of Labor said that the 537 is considered quote and unquote small. He said 750. Now, Ibon Foundation is saying also that we should have 1,200 per day.
Well, this kind of talk has been going on for, as you mentioned, I would say 3 to 4 years. I think the last increase was back in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. But, we're here at 537. And in fact, there's been calls to raise minimum wage to 750. And yet here you are saying, no, let's raise that to 1,007. Ang tanong ko, hindi ko kaya suntok sa buwan itong 470 peso increase, which totals 1,007 of minimum wage?
Well, the wage fixings in this country is usually tripartite. Mr. Kong, the wage board, actually is there. Although it's history, we must say government and employers group are there. Usually government takes the side of the employers group. Historically,
Raymond, I'm not sure I'm understanding you. Are we having some audio problems?
How about
there
now?
You go. It was, okay, go ahead. Yung sabi ko po, ulitin ko lang po yung tanong ko, hindi kaya suntok sa buwan tong 470?
Klaro naman yan. Of course, we could say that TUCB has been filing petition. The last time was 25 pesos. This time, considering that 3 years and 4 months have passed. We did file in 2019 that was dismissed. And 2020, 21, 22, we know that we are in pandemic. Now, we have oil price increase. Now it's about almost hitting to be 90 pesos per year. And when you have oil price increase, lahat naman, all of those basic commodities goes up. So not to mention that the 537, you have a deduction of the necessary SSS, health, pag-ibig.
Okay.
Let's talk about electricity.
Apologies, Raymond. I'm going to go on a break for a bit so that we can fix your audio. It's very difficult for me to understand what you're saying. We will be right back. So we're hoping for a better audio communication with Raymond Mendoza of TUCP. Raymond, are you there?
Yes, Mickey, okay. Go ahead, please.
Apo, so you were talking about the 470. Please go ahead again for the third time. I hope you don't mind.
Okay, 470. Well, the Food and Nutrition Research Institute of the SOT, they're saying 338.40 pesos, and then you have non-food requirement of 50 pesos. Increase in CPI, you have 27 pesos plus, that's central bank. But what is important that Ibon Foundation is saying that a family of 5 needs 1,200 pesos. Even Secretary Bello said that, quote unquote, the wages of 537 is small. He ventured by saying that it should be 750 pesos per day. So that's why we came out with 470, Pinky.
But Raymond, if we talk about 1,200, which is being said to be a livable daily, siguro, intake money, financial assistance rather, financial help or yung sweldo. That could also mean that there are 2 people in the household na kumikita po, hindi ho ba?
Right now, you have your husband and your wife, both of them working. Let's go back to the poverty threshold. That's the government figure of the Philippine Statistics Authority. Sabi nila, they said it needs 16,625 pesos for a family of four to survive. I'm sorry, family of five. But if you really redown it, let's break it down into daily basis.
Mhm.
16,000 is actually 640 pesos a day. The 537 translate to what? Kulang pa, 103
Uh-oh.
pesos. We are saying, 640 poverty threshold. If you go below, that would be new poor. So we've been
Uh-oh.
having a wage fixing mechanism where 537 is not exactly a decent wage, let alone a living wage.
Yeah. It's not even, well, basically, it's not the minimum threshold, is what you're
It's
saying.
not
So,
livable. It's not livable, Pinky.
uh-oh.
537. The PSA poverty threshold. Again, I used to be the chairman of committee of poverty alleviation. We use this data. 13,962 or 640 pesos a day is the poverty threshold. But you have 537. How are you going to live with that kind of salary?
But pinag-aaralan na ho, di ba, ito ng wage board. When do you expect a decision?
Well, usually TUCP every year we always file a decision, usually 3 weeks. But this is a state of emergency. No less the president said that we have a state of emergency. But can I just divert a bit? Congress, through the Committee on Labor and Employment, has already approved that there will be a hearing on March 17th. But this is another track, which is the legislative wage increase. Seven bills
Mm-mm.
are filed. You have 750 to 850, hoping that that will also be approved. We still have 2 weeks of those suspended ngayon, 2 weeks after elections to deal with this, and hopefully it can be passed. That's another track, which is through Congress.
Let's talk about, Raymond, increase the possible increase in minimum wages. One problem that is being put forward is that companies might not be able to afford this. Hence, this could cause unemployment. What do you say to that?
Well, there are 5 million minimum wage earners in this country. Then again, when your wage board do decide, and I hope the number happy among the down Filipino, there is Article 27, 127 that says the IRR that you can apply for exemptions, and it has been practiced through the years. I can
Mm.
just run it through: distress, new companies, cottage handcraft, service retail, less than 10 workers, and then of course family. And like what happened to Cebu, you have natural calamities, Pinky. But the fact
Mm.
is that you have exemptions, and the history of wage boards granting those exemptions about 80 to 90%.
So, what is, do you think, is an acceptable increase in minimum wage? I mean, I ask that because you have 750 pesos as minimum wage, and then the UCP saying, no, let's do 1,007 at its barest minimum. What is acceptable?
Okay, right now, 537 below poverty wages. It's always a dream of all the Manggagawang Filipino to give that living wage. It's enshrined in the Constitution, but unfortunately, that has not been achieved since 1986. That's a problem. But going back, way back in, I think Davao was the highest. It was 56 pesos. It was implemented 2018 and 2019. At that time, when they implemented 56 pesos, they were saying, mabankrupt daw, magsirado daw, and so on and so forth. They implemented it. 56
Mm.
pesos was implemented in Davao. What I'm saying is right now, you have 3 years and 4 months that we have not increased the wages. You have problem with Ukraine and Russia. You also have a problem with oil price increase left and right. The burden is always on the Manggagawa Filipino. That's what we're saying. Spread the burden. It's always us in the of course, our members, of course, the minimum wage
Mm-mm.
earners are always at the losing end and suffering. Imagine, Pinky, below poverty threshold wages, 537. Are we now, as a policy, as a nation, promoting
Mm-mm.
really slavery or really wages that are not even livable?
Mm-mm. As representative and a lawmaker, do you think you will see an increase in minimum wage this year?
Well, there's no brainer right now because of even our social partners, the business groups are saying that idan mo sa wage boards, the force value as already said, as stated. Then you can say that it is a matter of how much is how much. Again, 3 years and 4 months. I know that we have to deal with. Let's sit down and let's talk about this, but we have to do it fast. Hindi, wag naman sana 3 weeks. We can do it and decide it within this week or next week. Kasi hirap na talaga ang manggagawang Pilipino.
All right. PUCP Party List Representative and President Raymond Mendoza. Sir, thank you so much for your time.
Maraming salamat. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.